Coming up tonight, Prime Minister announces de-establishment of Council of Chiefs. Visiting US Congressman says government on track in dealing with crucial issues. And a look at the Prime Minister's recent official visit to Vanuatu. Good evening, I'm Sandra Sam. The Great Council of Chiefs, an institution created by the British during Fiji's colonial era, has now been formally de-established following the approval by His Excellency, the President Ratu Epeli Nailatikau. In a statement this morning, Prime Minister Bainimarama says the Great Council of the Chiefs is a product of Fiji's colonial past, and Fiji must now focus on an inclusive future where all Fijians are equally represented.
Prime Minister Bainimarama, when asked in a press conference of how important is the Great Council of the Chiefs, or the GCC, says Fiji needs to capitalize on building a united and fair country that promotes equal citizenry.
We've just disestablished it, which means it's not important anymore. It's not relevant to what we want done in our move forward to the consultations that we're going to put in place.
Meanwhile, this means the title of a chief still remains and will only operate in the provincial level, but the institution of the Great Council of the Chiefs has been de-established. The Great Council of the Chiefs is a product of Fiji's colonial past. Bainimarama says it is one of the institutions that in modern times has become politicized to the detriment of Fiji's pursuit of a common and equal citizenry.
If all Fijians are to have their say during the consultations for Fiji's new constitution, we must ensure every voice is equally heard and equally represented. In 1875, the British, under colonialism, created an elite body of i-taukei chiefs, known as the Native Council, to directly and indirectly implement its rule over Fiji. The members of this body, which later came to be called the Great Council of Chiefs, held certain privileges.
The head of government says over the last 20 years, the GCC, including its Secretariat, became highly politicized, with its members having political affiliations and membership in political parties. Unfortunately, this resulted in the GCC and its members involving themselves in a national political and/or taking advantage of the GCC's traditional role of providing advice to asserting personal or political agenda.
Ladies and gentlemen, what cannot be denied in this country is that Fiji's taukei heritage is a distinct and fundamental aspect of Fiji. However, as an institution, the Great Council of Chiefs perpetuated elitism and fed into the divisive politics which plagued our country. We must now look to our commonalities as citizens of the same nation, not to what separates us as individuals or groups. In recent years, my government has done much to ensure that many of the challenges facing the i-taukei have been addressed, including equal distribution of land-lease monies.
With the de-establishment of the GCC, this also heralds in a new era for Fiji in relation to the nomination of the president of the country, which existed under the now abrogated 1997 constitution. Prime Minister Bainimarama says government might find an alternative body to appoint the president.
United States of America Congressman Eni Faleo Mavaenga has told the Fijian government to deal with fundamental issues first before moving on to other issues. He made the comments during a meeting with the Attorney General, Sayed-Khaiyum, while on a courtesy visit.
The meeting surrounded talks of the recent announcement by Prime Minister Bainimarama on the constitution consultation and the processes involved leading up the elections in 2014.
Well, that was the key portion of my discussion with the Attorney General Khaiyum, that Prime Minister Bainimarama has announced last Friday, I think, the formation of the Constitutional Commission, as has been planned for all these years. And I'm really, really happy that we are moving on to the next stage or step towards building a better foundation for Fiji, having a good constitution that will reflect well the wishes and the needs of the people of Fiji, so that when you have an election come 2014, it would be in a much better situation than it has been in the past.
Meanwhile, Attorney General Sayed-Khaiyum says the talks were very positive, highlighting that the US Congressman has been following the developments in Fiji for quite some time now.
And he's also been able to identify some of the key issues that has been facing Fiji and how we need to address these issues in a very fundamental manner. You need to address the fundamentals, and then you can make some solid progress. And we really appreciate his presence and his input, and we look forward to further engagement and his representation of Fijian interests in the wider global platform.
Chairman of the Melanesian Spearhead group, Prime Minister Bainimarama, was welcomed at the Vanuatu capital of Port Vila during the weekend as he embarked on a 4-day visit to the MSG Secretariat. The visit is also significant as he is the first chairman to officially visit the Secretariat since its establishment in 2008.
Noah Saksak of the Ambrem clan in the Malamba province believes that preserving our culture and traditions is critical in helping to sustain our identity and status as Melanesians. This was evident from this visit by the Prime Minister and MSG Chair Josiah Bainimarama to Vanuatu, where chiefs of the various tribes and clans welcomed the Fiji delegation in their respective and authentic cultures and traditions.
The Nakamal is a community hall that gathers everyone in the surrounding for different purposes. One of the reasons for being in the Nakamal is for celebration and get together, and for fixing traditional governing system, and it's a gathering building, a gathering house for the community. And when you find a Nakamal on the island, it's like a community house for everyone in the area or in the Nasara.
This ceremony at the Chief's Nakamal in Port Vila also gave the Fiji delegation an opportunity to witness on hand the age-old practice of accommodating visitors to their shores and providing the much-needed hospitality which is common amongst member MSG countries.
Since the Prime Minister has been adopted into the Ambrem Malamba community, what's going to happen this year is that on the 10th of October, which is Malamba Day, and we know it's at the same time it's a Fiji Day, so the Fiji community and the Malamba community will be joining hands together and celebrate their national days.
The cover ceremony further epitomizes one of the many concepts initiated by the former Vanuatu Prime Minister, the late Walter Hayt-Lini, whose Vanuatu party had led political independence from a joint French-British colonial administration of the former New Hebrides on 30th July 1980. After all, without an effective cultural platform, there would simply be no identity for we as MSG peoples in the ever-challenging and influential Pacific region.
Coming up after the break, LTA and stakeholders to address alarming rise in traffic incidents. Government acknowledges Kiribati Island proposal, and Prime Minister meets Vanuatu law students.